I must have in my lifetime seen the Mona Lisa thousands of times, and I've actually seen her in person at the Louvre in Paris. Not only that, I have modified, vandalized, and recreated the Mona Lisa many times, but always with her there as a reference. In this video, I'm going to attempt to prove my mettle as an artist to see if I can actually paint her from memory only, and see how close I get. Now let me preface by saying I have not prepared for this challenge at all. I haven't seen the Mona Lisa probably in a month or two. I don't know, I think it sort of stumbles into everyone's lives every few months. I'm leaning on key memories, little pieces of information I've either been told or have observed myself over my lifetime in terms of understanding and observing this piece. How she's positioned slightly off to the right side and slightly facing away from the viewer with her gaze in the opposite direction. Like there's something she's noticed or something she knows that we don't. And then I do remember a few mysterious elements about the painting itself. For example, the horizon on the right side of her being a little bit higher than the horizon on the lower side, there being all these interesting rivers and canyons behind her. And when it comes to adding a little more definition to the proportions of the face and her body, I have a bit of experience to lean on, because many years ago I actually did an act at VidCon where I drew the Mona Lisa upside down while playing a song in front of like 10,000 people. That was, it was very nerve-wracking. The result back then wasn't exactly the Mona Lisa, but it was recognizably the Mona Lisa. And that was purely based on the things that I really tried to commit to memory. The fact that she has a very egg-like face, quite a large brow with hair really narrow and quite at the top with a slight little veil thing protruding in front of it. The position of the neck and how that plunges down into a curved neckline, but also is cut off at the sides by some sort of shawl or sleeved dress that she's wearing. And then of course the position of the hands and the way her hair and the dress flows from her body. Now that's not to say I think I'm nailing it here, but I'm pretty confident of the core components and their positions. And I feel like I'm off to a pretty good start. That's good. I feel like she's familiar, and that was really what I was going for in the drawing process. I don't know if I've nailed it, but I think color is going to be the thing that has the biggest impact on whether I succeed or fail miserably. Let's give it a go. Now, from memory, there are a lot of murky colors, lots of bluey greens, but all in a way that sort of leads more to charcoal and brown. So I'm trying to get a palette together that's gonna make sure I have everything I need ready to try and bring that to life. And in painting this, I'm starting with the background, the distant horizon all the way to the foreground, mainly because I'm working with oils. I don't want to cover the whole canvas because I want to be able to paint Mona Lisa's face and dress in more detail. And to do that, I'm going to need to leave that area fairly clean. But with that said, my approach here is really trying to capture what I remember to be the earthy greens of the horizon leading into the strange, warm tones of these rivers and canyons leading into the foreground. Now let me just say the Mona Lisa is so ubiquitous in the art world that I accidentally stumbled across her when trying to get my colors together on a bottle of odorless paint thinner. Now I caught her in my periphery and immediately avoided looking at her any further because I really want to stick to this challenge. But let me just say, the Mona Lisa is obnoxious. She is everywhere. Now let's see if we can figure out colors. Now right off the bat, the biggest problem I'm dealing with is that modern colors are so vibrant. So even after trying to mute down my greeny blue, it all feels too blue. On top of that, I feel like I painted the environment darker than it is in the painting. I feel like from memory, it's more misty and definitely more earthy. So I bring it all together with a bit of a wash over the figure herself, just to sort of tie it all together just at least a little bit. And then I move out throughout the rest of the piece, starting back in the background again. This time really leaning into the ochres and yellows and browns, a little bit of crimson here and there, and just trying to build up that earthy warmness and trying to pull back the vibrant blues and greens. Now with the colors being more reworked, I felt like I was getting closer to what I needed to, but then came the next challenge. Detail. I mean, how was the horizon actually laid out? Where were the mountains and rivers? I think the trickiest thing I found in trying to remember this was knowing which direction the light and contrast was working in. Like, were the mountains peaked and highlighted with the valleys and cliffs sort of darker, or was it the other way around? Were the mountains darker and everything was sort of surrounded like by a mist? At this point, I sort of felt like I was guessing. I definitely know that the upper part of the horizon is lighter than the lower part, so I definitely worked my way towards being darker lower in the piece, but otherwise I took a gamble and went with the darker mountains and slightly lighter murky valleys creating that sort of misty feel. Now, having done this without any reference, I'm pretty happy. I definitely feel like I'm heading in the right direction. Now, anyone who's watched the channel recently might have noticed that I kind of have Da Vinci on the brain lately. In fact, my whole studio does, because we've spent all year gearing up to the launch of our brand new role-playing campaign called Lucha, set in a Da Vinci punk world. The elevator pitch is basically, imagine a world where Da Vinci's inventions work. The flying machine, the tank, all sorts of inventions. And imagine a lot of those creatures and magic from the paintings of those eras were real as well. My whole team and I have spent so long gearing up for this, and I am so excited. And we have just launched episode 1.
Ilio runs over the door and pulls the door open. Hello, welcome to the Old Trades Assembly. He throws his arms high. Do you have work? You need work done? We have many skilled people.
There's also a world and setting video that we've just released. So if this sounds interesting to you, head on over to Tabletop Time Roleplay, subscribe and check out those videos. My character is Lorenzo del Martello, who is a stonemason who wants to be an artist, and that will evolve into some things that may surprise you along the way.
So I have been told much. So I crushed my dreams and
Oh, and this piece, which is like a Venetian-themed tabletop build, was made over on the Tabletop Time channel in preparation for this exciting launch. Go check it out, links in the description, first episode's up, and subscribe to Tabletop Time Roleplay for more exciting roleplay fun in this Renaissance fantasy world. But let's get back to our realistic Renaissance recreation. Okay, so I don't have a lot to go off because obviously I don't have a reference, but all I can say is from a distance, and you're like, I do feel like there's a few things just glancing at it that I feel like maybe she should be a little more to the left, a little more in the center. Look, there's gonna be stuff that's obviously not right. But with that said, I'm really happy with this as a foundation that I'm painting on top of. But this is the foundation. Now it's time to actually paint the Mona Lisa herself. This is easily the hardest bit. The reason this is such a huge challenge is because it's a face that everyone recognizes, and probably to a more minute degree than you would think. Like if there was a slight tweak or an adjustment to the original Mona Lisa, whether digital or otherwise, you'd recognize it. You would know the face has changed. So I'm gonna get as close as I can and slowly work in layers of oil paint, working in the shadows, slowly alluding to some of those details and spending a lot of time obviously in the face. But do keep in mind that this is a very famous painting, and everyone watching this and myself are just gonna be very aware that it's not her. It's not the original Mona Lisa, which is really interesting too. Like, why is she such a big deal? This may surprise you, but she hasn't always been so famous. One of the things that propelled her into fame was that in 1911, she was stolen by an Italian museum worker, artist, and thief. Da Vinci's Mona Lisa was missing for over 2 years, and there was a huge amount of press around it. The precious Da Vinci painting has gone missing, and it was said that the matter was really too serious for joking, as the loss of Leonardo's masterpiece would be one of the direct disasters that could happen in the world of art. But 2 years later, the thief Vincenzo Perugia admitted that he had stolen it from the Louvre and offered it for sale to a picture dealer in Florence. He was arrested, and under a lot of armed scrutiny and the eyes of police and detectives, the Mona Lisa was taken back to the Louvre and now hangs behind bulletproof glass and draws thousands of spectators every day. Now obviously I am no Leonardo da Vinci, and I'm doing my best here to get as close to the original as I can. Again, with no reference. I'm not referencing anything here, so this is just my imagination's version of the Mona Lisa, but obviously nothing replaces the original. And it's just so interesting to me how priceless and famous she's become. Not just because she's a good painting. I mean, I've been to the Louvre. There are a lot of good paintings in the Louvre. She's not the best painting by a long shot, but due to a combination of just the simplicity and appeal of the piece, the mystique that surrounds her origin and the story, who she is, why she was made, why it took so long, and the fact that, let's face it, in the early 1900s, there was some fantastic marketing perpetrated by a thief who created so much more mystery and perceived value around this painting, so that when she was returned, the world of art would never be the same again. The precious Mona Lisa would be seen as the most valuable and recognizable painting of all time. And because that reputation has only grown, and the Louvre and the Mona Lisa has become something of a pilgrimage for people all around the world, it's unlikely that any single work of art will ever outdo her in terms of fame and the public perception of a priceless artwork. Now, I've just caught myself working and reworking the face. It's so hard, especially because you know what she looks like, but, well, you know that she's not looking like what she's meant to look like because you know what she looks like, but this doesn't look like her, but is it close? Or, you know, sometimes you luck into like the motion of a brush where it just does something to make it closer and then it seems to slip away. But with that said, I really did feel like after all of my back and forth, I was getting close to something that feels like the spirit of the Mona Lisa. If I wasn't so familiar with the Mona Lisa, I'd be really happy with this. This is like, painting portraits is not really my thing, and I'm really happy with this as a portrait that I've painted. It's just not the portrait. But to see how I did, I'm gonna get some peers to rate it based on 3 things: color, composition, and expression. They will be judging without looking at the original. They'll be judging based on memory.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, no, that's the vibe of Mona Lisa.
Okay. Oh wow, it's really good. I love it's so smooth and really pretty.
That's pretty good.
Oh, wow. It's definitely her. You've nailed it.
Okay.
For colour, probably about a 6.5. I remember it being a lot more brown, a lot more browns.
I feel like there was a lot of sepia in the original. I think I'd give this like a 7.
The color palette feels really good, except I feel like Mona Lisa has a like maroon thing in the image. You know what? I think I might be completely wrong. 7.5 to 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm worried it's missing a bit of that warmth, but I'm not too sure if it had that in it. Probably a 6.
I'd say maybe like a 6 or a 7.
Out of 10, there is a little bit of mustard yellow in there. I would say like 6 out of 10.
I think composition-wise, it's pretty good. I think you're looking more about an 8.5.
I don't remember her being like in Mount Doom. Composition, like her positioning and all the negative space, that's got to be like a 9 out of 10. Yeah, choice of background was interesting.
I'd say very good. I'd say it's like an 8.5.
I'd say it's like maybe a 9.
7.
9 out of 10.
Her expression. I don't know, I feel like your Mona Lisa looks a little more exhausted. It's pretty good, 8. We'll go 8.
An 8. Just like the shape of the eyes is just really good.
She looks a little bit more tired in your one, I think. 7.
Again, maybe an 8, I think.
Oh, I'd say that's pretty close. I'd say like an 8.
From memory, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
All right, now it's my turn. I'm gonna rate the color, look, I'm gonna say 8 out of 10. I feel like the murky vibe feels right to me, but I definitely think there's something off. Composition, I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. I'm feeling most confident about that. And then expression, maybe 8 out of 10. But does that hold up compared to the real thing? There is something impossible to capture about the real Mona Lisa. I saw the real Mona Lisa at the Louvre 4 or 5 years ago. And the thing that struck me most about the Mona Lisa wasn't her, but was us reflected through her. I remember being in that room and seeing hundreds of people all taking photos, taking selfies, including myself. I was vlogging at the time, sharing the experience with my vlog channel. And it seemed to me, if I were interpreting Mona Lisa then and there, that she, if anything, she was like smiling and laughing at us and our strange behavior. Because there I was in this room surrounded by hundreds of huge, ornate, gold-framed, also priceless artworks. And there she was in the middle of this very large, very blank wall, sitting there under armed guard behind bulletproof glass with hundreds of people looking past everything around them at her. There's something just so cool about that. Like, it's less to me about what the Mona Lisa is as a painting and more what she's become as a symbol and how we react to that. It's like we're a part of the artwork that increases its perception of value and pricelessness because of how we react. Well, we can't help ourselves. And she seems to find that pretty funny.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there is a lot more brown. I think you got her expression quite well. Like I said, it was the thing I remembered least.
The hands up. You flip the hands. I'm sorry, it's a write-off. She has more by way of like eyelids in the original. Yours looks a lot more like Voldemort-y.
There you go. I think the composition, the hair and the face and like the structure, you did a really, really good job of.
The composition's great. I think it's pretty much spot on. I think, again, just missing that little bit of warmth.
I think it's good. I think everything you do is good there. I'm biased.
Oh, wow. There is actually, for some reason, I just remember it being like all yellow, but there is a bit of blue in it. But yours is definitely more cool toned. She's definitely got the same vibes.
I mean, I don't know how to feel. I feel like I got so much wrong, but quite a bit right. There's way more like yellow and gold than I remember. Mine is much colder and grimmer. Obviously, they're like the features are a bit wrong. Just like in general, I'm missing a lot of the earthy and warm tones. So color, I did way worse than I expected, but composition, I reckon I did really, really well in composition and even expression. I reckon I captured something about her expression, but obviously nowhere near what the master Da Vinci himself did. But you know what? The final judge of it is you. Let me know how you think I did. Here's the side-by-side of my Mona Lisa versus the original. Remembering I did this from memory, there was no reference. Let me know if you think I did Da Vinci proud in the comments down below, but otherwise, that is it for now. Thank you for watching as I aspire to things far beyond my reach, but have a lot of fun trying. And until next time, I'll see you later.